Hey, AfterBuzzers, we're about to discuss episode 4 of Sun Records with some very special guests with us tonight, and the episode is Record Man Blue, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Private man and say.
We were saying Tamra's great at singing this song.
Goodness gracious.
Well, hello, everybody. We are so excited to have these very special guests on the show today. We've got Christian and Jonah Lees on the show with us tonight. Just to introduce ourselves, I'm your host, Nasta. You can find me on Twitter at Nasta and on Instagram at AllieGirl. And Christian, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Christian_Lees or Twitter at Christian Lees with 3 E's.
And Jonah, what about you?
You can find me on Instagram as Jonah Lees or on Twitter as Jonah Rules. I made it when I was 13. So, yeah.
Isn't that how it all goes? Tamra Brown, where can they find you?
I'm actually Tamra Lees, and we're triplets.
Yes.
You can find me, I'm Tamra Brown. You can find me on Twitter at Brown Tamra or on the YouTubes at Hey Tamra.
Alrighty, well, just as exciting as this is, we've got Jerry Lee Lewis we're listening to, and the one that portrays Jerry Lee Lewis in the actual show. Like, I feel like we need to do a round of applause.
Yeah!
Because these guys, Christian and Jonah, are amazing. Can we not agree on that?
Thank you so much for coming in tonight, guys.
So much for
we
having
so
us.
appreciate having you here, especially this late. We're recording late tonight, folks. So.
Oh, you got the right guests for that.
Yeah, we're both actually like musicians, and we're on a musician's track, so we like to
We're
stay
nocturnal.
up to like 3 a.m. for it. So we
Perfect.
Oh, then this is right up your alley, huh?
Yeah, it's dinner time right now.
Well, you know, obviously you're twins, right? So you're identical twins.
Yes.
Really?
Who's
Identical twins. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Actually.
so who's technically the oldest?
Guess. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
I got a
Too
little
late.
bit of a hint. So Christian, you're the oldest.
I am.
You're all. So,
I do dispute that sometimes, actually, because
Oh, here we go.
it was a cesarean,
okay.
and you know they say
So it was anybody's game.
he was the actually, you know, they say the oldest is stronger because he pushed his way out and he won the race. But hang on a second, because it's a cesarean and he was weaker. The doctor needed to pull him out first.
But then
I could
my
stick
argument,
it longer, so I'm technically older.
My argument,
You got saved.
But my argument is, I don't know anybody else that defines age on how strong or weak you are.
Oh.
It's how, when you come out, I came out first, so.
I didn't come out at all, so.
Well,
there
I
we
guess
go.
well, we actually have Mom in the audience here, or not the audience, right here on the couch here, listening right
audience,
here.
the peanut gallery.
Audience, whatever. So that is just the twin story with you guys.
Yes.
But getting right into it, I just wanted to talk about your characters and the history behind it. So did you guys kind of know about them prior to being on the show, or did you kind of have to do research in order to kind of maintain these roles?
I'm a little bit ashamed to say I didn't know too much about Jerry. Not as much as I'd like to anyway.
I think that's absolutely, you're like 22, right? I would be shocked and amazed if you knew who Jerry Lee Lewis was.
But I have actually, my dad is an identical twin.
Oh, wow.
And they're both musicians.
Oh,
and
cool.
My uncle Craig would play that song to me, Great Balls of Fire.
Yeah, we remember that. Yeah.
To make us laugh. And that's my memory really of Jerry Lee Lewis.
Wow.
And then obviously when I auditioned I did lots and lots of research.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Jimmy Swaggart was at all, actually. So there was a lot of research involved, but we loved finding out about these guys, and we relate a lot to the characters, and their brotherly connections. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well,
Since you guys are British, did you know anything about like the Southern evangelists, like the Pentecostal, like how any of those like tent revival stuff worked? Did you know about that?
We do. We have it on them on TV, and that they're about, and we know about them, but we just didn't know any by name or didn't follow any particularly heavily, But
you knew it was like a thing that existed. Yeah.
But we didn't know how it worked.
Yeah.
But we did know of it, and we did used to do Southern accents a lot in school.
yeah. We had a lot of practice just playing around at school with those accents.
We did.
Well, I thought that was one thing that when I watched the first episode, I thought, like, I literally almost kind of like jumped back. Like, that was impressive because you guys captured the accents so well. There was no flaws whatsoever. So kind of doing those accents too, do you guys have a ritual before you go and you shoot a scene?
Well, one thing I will say, it's a lot easier actually in playing a real person. Because if you're just to play a character, you ask them the accent and the region, you know, whatever, and then you have to just look up on YouTube that accent. But if you can look at a character, you can hear their vowel sounds and their, you know, their way of speaking and their whole thing. So it's actually much easier. You can copycat.
I did notice, especially this past episode, you took on the Jerry Lee Lewis has always had this very like animated way, you know, like you took that on. So
I think as the more you listen to someone, the more subconsciously it goes in, and because everybody has patterns, you know, everybody has a way of speaking, and I think the southern accent has a lilt to it anyway. Jerry's is just kind of like up here, which is so fun, and he also has a kind of S that Matthew McConaughey has. So I kind of linked it to that way, like Jerry Lewis. Yeah. Like that.
That's true.
So all the little stuff really helps because subconsciously, I guess.
I never noticed that till you said that.
You recognize
that.
it.
Yeah, I definitely recognize that. But going into Jerry Lee Lewis, you actually got to meet him in person.
I did.
So did that kind of help you capture the character of Jerry more in tune?
Unfortunately, I met him towards the end of filming. So I met him toward 3 weeks before we finished. But
also, he's pretty sad. He's like old and feeble now. He's
He is.
feeble.
I mean, he's in his 80s.
Yeah.
The craziest thing to me was, and what threw me back, was he was exactly the same man.
Really?
I mean, literally the only difference was he spoke a little slower.
Yeah.
He would answer in exactly the same way as he would when he was back there in the 50s.
Oh, cool.
It was way too surreal for me to. I didn't even introduce myself.
He's very turned on, isn't he? He's very,
I was so nervous. He didn't know who I was the first few minutes, and I had to just I was just kind of watching him.
Yeah. Were you kind of like starstruck in a way? Like, wow, this is someone because you at that point had done so much research that it was kind of like, whoa.
I mean, I'd lived him for 3 months, so I've been watching him every day, and to see him sat in front of me, it's still hard for me to describe.
Yeah.
It.
He's a legend. I mean, yeah. I wish I could meet him. I've seen him far away at one of when he still plays like rockabilly shows, but I've never met him.
Yeah.
But I do remember there was this interview on The View a couple years ago with him, and he looks very frail. Like even just on camera with the makeup and the lights and stuff, he was still kind of shaking a little bit and looked just so frail.
Yeah.
And I remember the ladies of The View were like, so you married your 13-year-old cousin. It's just like, do we have to go there with the? We don't. We've been down that road. Like, do we really have to attack the elderly man?
Yeah.
I don't think.
I think he has a lot more bite than he may look. You know, he may give off.
That's great to hear.
Because he's so like there. He's so right
it's
there.
It's amazing to hear him speak
Okay,
about.
here's the way I'll prove it. I said, is there anything you want to put in the second season or anything if we get it?
Yeah.
And stuff like that, any stories. And I won't tell you the stories just in case that does happen, but he did tell me exactly what his first car was, down to the cent, what he paid for it, almost the day that he bought it.
That's amazing.
He said it was $293.33.
That is amazing to even know that.
Cars mean a lot to him, I guess.
Yeah,
so
cars do mean a lot to him.
Yeah.
And obviously music. And the whole time I was speaking to him, his fingers were going like on his armchair, just
so
constantly,
crazy.
just keeping his.
Because he's probably still like the music is just flooding through his brain. I'm sure.
And he spoke about he told us stories of Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis as if they were family, friends, like obviously on first name basis, and just remembered everything.
That's crazy.
As if it had just happened.
Man, and Jonah, you haven't met Jimmy Swaggart, but you mentioned there was a YouTube video or something that.
I have recently been sent a video on Twitter, which made my day, of Jimmy speaking at his at his church. You know that they it goes out on TV and
Like
everything.
currently, or
Yeah.
what era? of him?
Well, currently, he was talking about the show. He said he'd seen a clip
wow.
of me and Christian on the show. I think he saw most probably our first scene at Haney's in episode 2, and he just went on to say about how he loved that time and Elvis, and he was so happy that Jerry Lee was still with us. And then he just said he wouldn't have changed a thing from that time, and that was all he said. But it was just lovely that he gave that kind. He was like a seal. He didn't say anything bad about it. I was so chuffed. Like he'd seen it and he was like he approved. So that was great.
Yeah, I mean, how does that feel? Just hearing those words come from him, as well as the fan base. I mean, you guys have kind of, I think, captured them so amazingly. How does it feel to know that your art is being recognized?
Fantastic. You know, I feel so privileged to have met Jerry, and because nobody really else has that privilege on the music kind of standpoint, and I know how much Drake would love to have met Elvis,
Sure.
and how much Kevin would have loved to have met Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
So I didn't take it lightly.
Yeah.
And also he kind of gave me his seal of approval. He told me that he'd watched, his wife Judith had showed him a video of me playing and singing the piano, and he said, "Yeah, I saw you singing and stuff on stage. Well, I think you'll do all right, son." And then
Oh
I
my
just
gosh.
stopped. I just stopped and I
That's
kind of
literally exactly how he said. You've logged that in your memory.
and to me, and obviously I do care, but at that point I was like, that's it. I'm happy now.
Yeah.
It's true.
I don't
Who
really
else do
care
you
how
need
it-
to please? That's
I'm
it.
kind of happy
Yeah.
now because, I mean, for an actor to play a real person, to meet them, and then for them to not say you're not doing it right.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely.
It's amazing.
Was the best
Yeah,
thing.
I could imagine how that could be.
And he's also, I mean, a lot of people have played Jerry Lee Lewis before, so for him to say that to you
Yeah.
is an honor.
Oh,
yeah.
I got emotional, honestly.
It's an emotional
because
thing,
It
yeah.
was
Yeah.
such a big moment that I couldn't really take in until he'd gone away, and
Yeah.
until I could soak it in.
You're like,
And
wait, that just
last
happened.
thing he said to you, he was like,
The last thing he said to me was, he shook my hand and he said, "You do me proud, boy." That was the last thing he said to me, and he walked out. And
I was like crying.
I was-
That's special. Like I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
I just got chills.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
and his whole family have been nothing but sweetness to me and Jonah, my mom. They invited us to the house. The son is constantly tweeting me. It's
Wow.
Jerry Lee Lewis III. It's on Twitter. And Judith.
yeah,
his
I
wife.
think I saw that,
That's
and I was
great.
like, wait, is this the real?
It is, yeah, and they're amazing, and they're also supportive, and they're all
Yeah.
following and promoting the show, and
I wonder
Yeah.
if they helped in the research of the show at all, because the writers have clearly done a lot of, not just all the things that we all know about, autobiographically what happened, but I wonder if his family played a role in a lot of the research.
If they didn't before, they are now.
Yeah.
Especially through me, because I've told them direct stories that Jerry told me.
Right.
That hopefully,
Yeah.
and I think they will.
it's
be
really interesting,
listened
I think that we're doing a great job with his, I'm so happy with it, because I knew it was a sensitive subject that we were touching on, and then when I read the script and then saw the outcome, I was really happy, because obviously we're making a TV show, so it can't be a documentary, but at the same
Right.
time we are being respectful, to the real stories. We're not telling some crazy, making up any crazy lies. And this is basically what happened. We're just, we've got to put it all into episodes.
Yeah, I was actually we talked about this last episode, that it felt like some of these stories were fake almost. So I went and did some research and found out that it was real. So it's really it's kind of nice to know that I shouldn't be having a guard up, is that real, is it not? Because so far everything, it's check, it's verified. So that's amazing that they're able to capture these stories and make it come to life for everybody.
Yeah.
And also, you guys had talked about a little bit of the director and how this show kind of has that movie feel about it, and you wanted to speak about it.
I just think Roland is such a big part of this show, and I can guarantee you it would not be as good without him. It wouldn't be the same show as with any director, but Roland really paints a picture. I remember I would watch the monitor on days I wasn't filming, and I didn't need sound because his shots are so beautiful.
It's very cinematic. I think the first glimpse you see of the whole series in episode 1, the first time we got a chance to see it, I was blown away. It's like watching a movie, and that's not easy to do. And because he's a movie director, he's a feature film director. We were so
He's worked
lucky
with
to
Robert
have him
De
on
Niro.
board.
I mean,
He's worked with the best, and he treated it like a big feature film. You know, he did all of the episodes, and he spent every day. We would see him, like going through the scripts. Like, he was so dedicated, and we were just so thankful to have him, because it wouldn't be the show.
Also, the way he works with actors,
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really, really is.
Well, I feel like it shows, because I've just keep repeating about how convincing it is, and how each of you guys, not only is the directing amazing, but your acting and the way you're portraying these characters, right down to the twang of the voice. So just, I think as a whole, this show is just blowing us fans away. At least I can say that. And it's really exciting to kind of see each episode grow and grow a little bit more. To get into this episode a little bit, how was it like jumping into the car and felt like shooting that scene?
I actually say it was my favorite scene to shoot.
Really?
Where do you shoot it, by the way?
We shot it
Arkansas.
it was in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't my favorite scene of all the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
the scene in the car, but it was my favorite to shoot because I was in a 50s car, and I'm pretty sure, like, I'm a Back to the Future fan, I'm sure some car buffs will tell me it's not the exact same type of car, but
Right.
it looks very, very similar to the one that Biff drives or whatever. in Back
Biff's
to
is
the
black,
Future.
but when we got into it, I was like, dude, this is
This is
This
it.
is Biff's
the
car.
And
Right.
we freaked out, and I was pretending to
And,
be.
and who doesn't want to jump into a convertible in the 50s?
And I got to actually drive it, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
it was pretty amazing, you know, and I was just there happy. I was, you know, and I even did that little stunt, that little twirl, you know. I was just
Yeah,
really
you did your
enjoying
own
myself.
stunts.
Well,
Oh.
yeah.
Look at us, we got a stuntman on deck.
I know. I was bragging about it when I got back. I was like, you need to put that in there. I'm the stuntman. now, so.
Yeah, and you guys were definitely breaking into places like the church, where you see a lovely woman, Peggy.
Yes, we do.
So
Peggy
yeah,
May.
we actually have
We have her here.
Peggy here.
Yes.
Kate Poole is here with us.
She's here.
Getting shy.
Yeah, but so just kind of like your characters and how you intertwine together. How did you guys, I mean, obviously you're brothers, but that chemistry is just so ecstatic and crazy. Do you guys work together when you're doing the scenes, or do you kind of go up separate and apart and then come together?
We
We work. I mean,
work together.
It's interesting when we get into costume. A lot of the time, we'll be half in character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not preaching to people at lunch, but I'm trying to stay. It just helps.
Yeah.
So and actually definitely on the way to set, when you know you've not got long before you're filming, we would talk
Well,
and
here's-
as our characters.
Here's
you
what
know.
was funny. A couple weeks into the shoot, a couple of the people on the set, like people around the set, didn't realize we were English because we would speak
Yeah.
in a southern accent in costume,
Yeah.
just because it helps.
Mm-hmm.
And also we have an English director,
Mm-hmm.
so if you're speaking to him in an English accent right before you do a take, and he's giving you directions in an English accent,
Right.
you have to be careful not to slip
Yeah.
back into that.
Yeah.
So we made a big effort to do that. So we would improvise like little scenes before we went on, just to kind of get ourselves into character. And also, we lived in the same apartment, so we always worked.
Yeah.
On,
And we
on the
we always,
script.
I mean, I think actually a lot of the actors, it always depends, you know, but we're such a family. Like, that's
Yeah.
one thing I have to say, that the cast is such a family. I've never, ever had that with any cast. Like, we all got on so well. Like, usually you stop filming and you have your days off and everyone, like, goes into their room and then they have their alone time. But we were all having cookouts and playing darts, and so that really helped. And we genuinely all worked together so well too. Like, everyone wanted to read it with each other and help each other out, and that was amazing to have. That was really
That's
amazing.
cool. I feel like it's like a trend right now for. There's a lot of shows with Brits playing Southern people, and it's almost like now when I see any show that's predominantly Southern, I'm like, are any of them American? I
They're
just
British.
don't even.
They're
yeah.
British.
But you guys do a better job than a lot of people we see on a lot of shows now with
very
the
much.
accent. Yeah.
You know what's weird? I think it's easier for an English person to do a southern accent than it is if you're a Californian or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Doing like an English accent.
think
It
it's
seems
an
to be
easier
easy, you know,
segue.
when we were younger.
But you mean doing a Southern accent as opposed to any other American accent? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh,
Yes.
gotcha.
there's something quite similar. I mean, I know as kids that the first accent we would imitate is the Southern, and it must be quite close to the British accent because it was so natural to us,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And I don't know, we loved a lot of westerns, or maybe, you know, places where you might hear a southern accent, so
Yeah.
maybe that's another reason why we picked it up so quickly.
And also, there's like, I mean, if you're from Georgia, you'll have a soft R, which is very English.
Yeah,
You
that
know?
is true. I guess I never thought about it that way. I think it's funny because it's always like swapped. Like when, like I feel like when I was little, it's like cool to do like practice on an English accent.
Yeah.
So it's funny to think that you guys were kind of like watching the Western and having like that Southern accent where you're
In
just
school,
playing around
in
with
school
it.
in London.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, in school in London, that's what we would do with our friends, the southern
Yeah.
accent.
Allie, can you do a British accent?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not very good at it. I don't know. Is that okay?
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not
not
bad.
bad.
It's not bad at all.
That's not bad.
My name is Jerry Lee Lewis. I'm from Louisiana. I'm gonna play you this song on this here piano. How's that?
Almost. You're Cockney.
They're like,
You're,
oh,
Cockney.
no.
You're Cockney.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
Definitely
Oh.
from
Because
definitely
if you're like you're Cockney or London, you say piano.
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 But if
If
you're
you're
from where we
piano.
are, we'd say piano.
Piano.
Oh, piano.
Piano. Yes.
It's like the O's.
Just you wait, Henry Higgins.
Yeah.
Like,
Tamra's gonna be like going home like practicing her English
go on,
accent.
say to yourself.
Chimney sweep.
One of those.
Yeah. Mary Bobbin.
Yeah. I don't know. That's my favorite thing is to hear people do other people's accents.
Yeah.
I
All
used
day,
to
all
used
day.
to that a lot. I liked English accents. They're fun. Sorry, I'm just like, okay. Anyways, going back into like more of the episode, this episode, we had a lot of Sam Phillips and his like his records. They made it to #1 for the Rhythm Boys, which turned to Delta Cats.
Yes.
Which do you feel like he definitely, I mean, this is obviously a real thing, but if we want to talk about the episode a little, I was like, no, stop jumping to conclusions and spending all of your money in one place. You've just sold one record.
Yeah.
And it kind of bit him, like,
Yeah.
in the foot in
Yeah.
this episode.
It did.
I think that might happen with a lot of passionate people and creative
Yeah.
people like Sam was. You know, he heard the music, and if he believed in something, he was gonna go full throttle. And I think that is, you know, those type of gambling kind of personalities that go full on, they go all the way on nothing. That's the only way you can make like a big success. You know, you would really have to take risks. So
Yeah.
I mean, it paid off for him in the end. We all know. But,
Yeah.
to see, it's really interesting to see sometimes that doesn't work all the time.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
and he had all these people kind of tell him no, and he just didn't give up. And I find it really interesting in this episode too that Marion was really the stickler. She like laid down the law and made sure that this was going to happen for Sam.
Yes.
Which it's crazy because I think Tamra mentioned she didn't even realize that Marion was a real person.
Yeah.
A real part of the record
Um,
company.
Yeah.
And she actually was like a huge backbone of it from what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, she was amazing. She's actually credited to be the first person ever to record Elvis.
That's
yeah.
Very, very strong female
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
I'm glad of that.
We do.
Yeah.
We have a lot of strong female characters in our show, and you will grow. You'll find out how strong
Yeah.
they are soon.
Jennifer
Hollivan.
Jennifer Holland as Becky, and then
Oh, she's phenomenal.
Margaret Aaron Florence as
Yeah.
Marion, and they're both amazing, and you get to see how strong those women were, which is great in that time too.
Definitely.
You know.
Because
Yeah,
you don't
like-
get to see that a lot. I'm glad we're gonna see more of that, because this episode especially, when we started with in the German beer garden,
Yeah.
the way that they were treating the like beer, I think in those days they'd called them like beer winches, but
Yes.
like the way they were all just fondling her, and she's just got this huge smile
Yeah.
the whole time. I was like, either like clearly male writing staff, or it made me wonder, like, were they sort of in the reality of what those beer garden servers, were they prostitutes? Like, what was that about? I was wondering,
I mean, that's interesting to think about. I mean, there's definitely.
because they were just passing that girl around, and she just had the biggest smile that whole scene. I was just like, what's really am I missing something? What's happening
It's
here?
interesting to think about the different, you know, obviously it was in the 50s was such a different time, and they were so behind the times with all of that kind of stuff. The way women were treated was disgusting, and the racism. So, I mean, it's very possible that that was going on.
It is very
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we see Sam Phillips, you spoke about like racism, but we see Sam really stand up for them, which was amazing to see.
I love that scene.
Yeah, it was so powerful, and it's like, yeah, that's right. Like Sam, like, push him away, and I thought it was great. He just walked away and scoffed because it's like, yeah, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
The one thing that the musicians had and the people who loved music, because when you're growing up with people telling you this is don't like that guy,
Right.
you know, because they look different and you're better than them. It's hard to break away from that, even if you're being told that all the time. But the people that the musicians that they had a lot in common, like people like Sam Phillips, Elvis.
Yeah.
They heard the music, they loved it, they were passionate about it, and then that made them colorblind, you know. And then there were these people who was like, no, actually, I don't.
doesn't-
And I love
have to be like
Keir's, Dewey's comment. It was like, do you like watermelon?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
such a good,
It's great.
you know, I think Dewey comes out with some crazy one-liners, but if you really listen to him, I think that's a great part of the show, because they're disguised in craziness, but a lot of the time Dewey will come up with like a little nugget of like
Definitely.
gold, and you'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I think just even seeing the passion through these characters of who these people really were in the beginning is what kind of makes it so exciting too. Because these were real people that we only we grew up knowing them as like household names, but we didn't know this like the struggle or the behind the story. You just kind of knew them as oh, this is Elvis Presley, oh, this is Johnny Cash. So just seeing them kind of struggle a little bit, but like have their passion and really just stand their grounds is just so exciting.
But I hope they do show a little bit of reality as well, because even as open-minded white men of that era, there are microaggressions that I'm sure they all committed, because there's no way you couldn't have in the 1950s to be a white man raised in the South. Like, I'm sure even as open-minded as they were for the time, I'm sure they all said and did inappropriate things also, because
course.
I mean, I guess you'd be
There's no
raising
way-
hell to a certain extent
Yeah.
if you didn't follow some of the rules that were set in place, you know.
yeah. So we. I wonder if there. I would like to see a little bit more of they can't just be completely saints in that respect,
Right.
because it was the reality of what it was like back then. There was a dark time in our history.
Yeah.
And everything's fine now.
I wouldn't.
Just kidding. But I was really excited that they brought the Ike Turner character
yes.
into
Yes.
this
Yes,
episode.
he's
because,
great. Kerry Holiday.
man, it's I kind of said the last episode how what we learn of Ike Turner now. He's seen as a wife beater and a philanderer and all of these things, but Rocket 88 was the first rock and roll song. It's kind of credited with being the first rock and roll song
That
to be on the
distortion on
charts.
the amp.
The fuzz guitar and
That was broke. The amp was broke.
and
yeah.
that happened because I think that was one thing that was different in the episode. The amp was shot, but I think in reality the amp, it's kind of goes back and forth of what really happened. But
yeah,
anyway,
it's blurry, isn't it?
It's
People
blurry.
I don't know. We'll have to ask the writers whether they were close to finding some evidence to lead that way. But there are a couple different stories as to how the amp broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you're right.
But the fact that Ike Turner wrote that song, made the fuzz guitar a popular thing, and and then Bill Haley went on to give that song a more chart success. But like, I feel like his contribution to rock and roll is sometimes forgotten because of his dark, the dark sides of him that we forget. But he's Ike Turner is certainly a music legend.
Oh, of course. Well,
Yeah.
he influenced Jerry Lee Lewis,
Yeah.
because that's who he was listening to. Jerry was one of the last ones to make it, and he was listening to them all and being influenced by all of them.
Yeah, and you had actually mentioned something about he hasn't been inducted to the Country Hall of Fame.
I wanted to say, people go check out my Twitter. It's kind of down there. Check out Jerry Lee Lewis III's Twitter. There is a petition that you can sign and share, and to induct Jerry Lee Lewis into the Country Music Hall of Fame.
I mean, it's ridiculous that he hasn't been inducted years ago.
He has had a longer country music career than he has a rock and roll career. He's been in the country
crazy.
music business for years, far more years than he has a rock and roll career.
Yeah.
He made such an influence in that field, in
He
a
did.
massive. Country music is one of the biggest music markets out there, and he's impacted it so much.
Yeah.
And I think he should be inducted.
For sure.
Well,
So-
there you have it. Is there a hashtag
Sign-
that we need to assemble
Hashtag
here?
get Jerry Lee Lewis inducted.
Say what's your Twitter handle one more time?
It's At Christian Lees with 3 E's.
Okay.
And
Everybody
is
go
an
there.
Underscore? Isn't there an underscore?
There's an
No.
underscore on my Instagram.
Ah, got it.
An
Okay.
underscore on my Instagram.
Good to know.
Yeah. Sign
but-
that petition.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
that's, I mean, it's a great thing that you bring up too, because all this music was kind of, it was like rockabilly, rock and roll, country. They all kind of, in a way at this time, I feel like intertwined with each other. And it was just kind of pulling, I feel like, certain songs away to make them stand
And
alone.
gospel.
Yeah.
It was a kind of, it was a mix of all of them that just kind of made magic. And,
Yeah.
you know, these guys would literally take hymns and completely almost remix them, as
Yeah.
you would talk about it now. You know, they would just do the best they could with what they thought was okay. They were very religious people,
Yeah.
but the gospel kind of hymns weren't speaking to them, and they didn't have that feeling, like Jimmy said, and you know, they were making history without realizing it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And even just intertwining the gospel in there, and it's kind of crazy to see that's how Elvis really started getting that feeling. And he even said it in this episode, like, you feel it in your heart. It's something different. It's these people are speaking words. These other people are speaking from the heart.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
It's amazing.
Now you played the piano, right? You for real you play.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Ev-
But did you have to kind of learn that style?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been playing for years, since I was 13, 14, but more like Billy Joel, Elton John
Yeah.
type stuff.
Love Billy Joel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I love Billy Joel.
We both play it in
both play.
in the show, and
And-
Christian helped me out a lot because I play the piano, but I'm definitely more of a guitarist, so
But-
he helped me out a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, as soon as I got the audition, let alone got the part, as soon as I got the audition, I was on the piano every day. Basically, it's like learning to ride a bike again, because I don't want to bore you with it, but
No, I'm actually intrigued. I actually wanted to know, like, if you guys actually played and sung these songs.
oh yeah, every music you hear from us is completely live, recorded during the take.
Oh my gosh.
And it basically, in modern piano, it's kind of more work on this hand, but in Jerry's time, it was a lot with the left hand. That bass
Yeah.
hand is so difficult.
The right hand is kind of got
Right, yeah,
coordination.
going like that.
This
yeah.
is kind of just
Yeah.
pumping out stuff.
Yeah.
But what's great about it is I'm playing Jerry Lee Lewis at 16 years old, so I'm learning with him, which is,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
the same as everyone. I think people might not understand, like, these there's got to be, you've got to see these characters grow, so you're not going to be seeing Elvis Presley
Yeah.
or Johnny Cash or Jerry Lee Lewis. You know, you're seeing kids
Yeah.
grow into the people, so I
Right.
wouldn't be concerned if you're thinking, well, that's not 100, because you know that there's got to be a growth, and people,
Definitely.
you know,
and also, yeah, Jerry doesn't, like I said, took him the longest to make it. And you won't.
He was younger.
Unfortunately, you won't get to see him do a performance as such, but you will get to see him figure out some hymns and start to experiment.
we're
and-
actually 16 in this, aren't we?
and it's all us live.
That's amazing. And like even the piano too, like it's just you guys are going for it.
So
and-
they literally say action, and we do it, and we
you might
rehearse it.
have some more piano from us later on in the series.
We
but
have our musical director Chuck Mead is fantastic. Any
He's
piano
incredible.
that I play, I basically figured out myself, but with the help of Chuck Mead, who would say maybe do this here, or maybe
The
this will
great.
sound more like.
he did so much work on this show. He put so much of the music into the show, let alone, you know, with any musicians that were playing live.
Here's a fun fact that I think people should know.
Yeah.
Episode 2. If Maggie hadn't changed her mind,
B.B. King.
Chuck Mead wrote that song.
Yeah.
Oh,
because
wow.
They couldn't.
They did.
Get
We just
the
have a
BB
B.B. King
the
song.
licensing.
And when I heard the song, I was like, dude, this is one of
I
my
wanted to
favorites.
learn it,
Where,
yeah, I
where
wanted
was
to learn
this?
it.
When did you record this? And Chuck was like, oh no, I wrote that one. And I was like,
Well, because we
that's
were like,
awesome.
is that actually
That's
the first song that
crazy.
B.B. King was doing? And he said, no, I had to write it. And we were like,
Yeah, wait, is there gonna be like a soundtrack to the show?
Who knows?
Fingers crossed. I feel like there will be.
Yeah, because I know even like I was I was a huge fan of Nashville from CMT, so I would watch every single show and be like, okay, where can I get that song right now? And I feel like that's kind of how this is, because even though you guys sound alike and you could go get the real music, it's like when you go to see a Broadway show and like you get the album, you're like, oh, it's not It's not who I just watched.
Yeah,
so I feel like this, that would be amazing just to be able to download all these songs that you guys are
I've
singing.
been hearing talks about that, so we don't know the answer yet.
Yeah, and I know there's
That'd
not
be
too
good
much
for you
yet.
guys.
It would be.
You get the licensing off of that,
There
or
is talk.
whatever.
I mean, we had so much downtime.
Yeah.
We'd play that music every day. We went to studios and cut some stuff just for fun, to try and see if we could really
Threw down some tracks.
Yeah, I mean, we had the time, and it's what we were passionate about, and why not kind of work on the music as well.
And I'm sure that just makes you more confident too to exude this into the role. It's just the more you practice, the more you feel confident. So.
Exactly.
And that's how everyone also bonded. It wasn't work,
Yeah.
We're so lucky. We feel so blessed to be able to do a job where you come back from work and carry on doing what everyone comes together and they're carrying. It's basically our job, but we were all just learning the songs and reading it. It was, we didn't want to stop. That's what we enjoyed. We enjoyed it so much.
That sounds amazing. Just even to have that camaraderie too around yourself all day and just be filled with positive energy and everybody happy. I feel like that just makes it easier to just go to work and have fun and do what you love to do too.
What do you guys listen to? Just outside, just whatever in your car, at the gym. What do you listen to?
Before the show, it was completely different because I had some weird phases, but all old actually. I love crooners, kind of Frank Sinatra, Harry Connick Jr., Tony Bennett. I still am in love with that music, and I love to sing that music more as well. I started out with rock, and then it kind of went to kind of Stevie Wonder, Billy Joel, Elton John, then jazz. I had a phase of barbershop music.
Oh, really?
What kind of? Maybe I don't know what that means.
Barbershop, have you ever seen
Close
the four men in Disneyland with the hats and the mustaches?
Flat hats, and they have the bands around the arms.
Yes. That's just so. That reminds me of Elvis. Yeah, I do. I like that music too. That's fun. Yeah. I didn't know that. I'm bad at knowing names of music, and I'm like, I like this, and I just start listening to it, but I don't actually know what it is. Something I need to work on, and that's what this show kind of helps me too. I'm like, okay, I need to get a little bit more on my music buff side to know a little bit of the backstory.
I mean, I never got into barbershop, you said a lot of them, but I just don't stop listening to John Mayer. I just love John. I like a singer-songwriter. I'm a songwriter myself, so I like singer-songwriter like Paul Simon, anything like that. I listen to all the time.
I actually saw a video of you on Twitter, and you did a cover of Friends, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
it was very great, by the way.
Thank you. I was watching Friends, and I picked up my guitar, and it was a nice day, and I got my mom to film me 20 times while I got it right, and then
Plus mom.
Oh, the theme song.
Yeah, the theme song. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't clap because I was playing the guitar, but yeah.
Well, so you guys both write and do you compose a little too, or is it more just writing?
I've been composing more.
Really?
I haven't. I've actually have written a couple songs since but I haven't written nearly as much since I got the part because I'm just so invested in it. It's not that I don't want to, it's just that I don't like forcing anything, and if I try to write a song now, it might come out like Great Balls of Fire.
I'm completely different. I write every day.
Yeah.
So I'll do the music and the lyrics, it all just comes together for me, but I'm definitely thinking of I'd love to be an artist one day, make an album and get myself out. It's just all, this is all happening right now.
Yeah, of course, of course. Wait, what kind of music do you like to write? Is it more towards the John Mayer?
It would be it might fall in that kind of zone, but they're just songwriter but I love I love current music, like some Bruno Mars, Justin Timberlake. So I write songs like that, but at the same time I'll write an acoustic ballad or a folk, even something folky. I'm still figuring out my sound, but I don't restrict myself in my writing. I'll write like a Michael Jackson or I'm influenced by so many different kinds of music. I just don't let myself
stick to one genre.
You don't sit down and say, now I'm going to write a Black Sabbath song.
I don't.
Which is a talent in itself. And
I've written musicals before. I just do.
We've tried to write together before, and the outcome's kind of cool, but it's so difficult because it's I did that line. or that was my chord. Or
So it's like I basically wrote the whole song, and he's like, no. Do you know? So yeah.
Well, just kind of with going back to the show and everything, how has this ride been since it started, since it aired? How has the feedback been? How does it feel to know that this show is just, it's really doing credit to these artists?
Kind of really just such a lovely, warming feeling of, and you can't really take it in. It's hard to kind of fathom how many people have been watching and tweeting, because you can't, if you say like a couple hundred people, if you're like doing a live show and you're saying 800 people will be in the audience tonight, you can understand that. But when you say 3 million people are watching, you can't picture it. You just can't understand it. And the fact that we broke records with the fact that we had 99% positive tweets on the first episode, I was just astounded because I understand what social media is.
The first
Exactly. I mean, the internet is built for trolls who immediately want to hate everything.
And I'm not saying our show's perfect. I'm just saying that I was so overwhelmed with the response that we got.
Yeah, we got to number 1 on that first episode. That was incredible, and we did again today in week 3. You know, that's amazing. But the whole ride, like as a whole, like the whole filming process and being able to become these characters and living in Memphis, and so you're like surrounded by them. You can't get away from it. It's kind of taken over our lives right now, and these characters, to become a real person, you kind of fall in love with them, and you feel so close to them. Like that's just an amazing process. So like we love that. It's such an amazing opportunity, and then to top it all off, the fact that we get to do it together, you know, as twins, that's
totally.
It's insane.
Man, Memphis is, I've never been to Memphis, but I would love to go because I love Sun and I love Stax.
Oh, you should go.
I know.
Because they have a Sun museum, obviously in Sun Studios, and a Stax museum.
And a Stax museum. And one of my, a friend of my friend is a musician there in Memphis, and he's on the Grammy board here in Los Angeles. Oh. And he formed a group called the Bow Keys, which is, he takes the remaining people from Stax Records, the Bar Keys, and everybody that's still alive, like all of the legends from that time, and they play around Memphis, and I think they toured to different places too. But anyway, it's just music, major hub of
that's really
entertainment.
Cool.
So I would love to see that.
You should definitely come and visit. You should definitely do that.
Yes.
Well, we are huge fans of the show, and just right before we wrap up, what can we expect from Christian and Jonah in the next couple months? Is there anything new you guys have coming out, or is it just all Sun Records and prepping for whatever might be next for you guys?
Exactly that.
Yeah?
I think mainly I'm definitely invested in the show, and obviously auditioning here and there as actors do.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of very focused on the show, you know, our storyline with Peggy, and it just gets better and better. A lot of it's real.
Yes.
So
I think after episode 4, we actually really get into all the cast is excited because we know how much it picks up after episode 4. We're thinking if they're liking it now, you wait until we start.
Wait till episode 4 and afterwards.
Now I don't know if this is a question you can answer because it might be giving something away. But are we going to develop Jimmy's story a little bit more? Because so far it's just sort of following where Jerry's, it's his where his path is heading.
I don't know. You'll have to wait and see, and fingers crossed. If we keep pushing, everyone keeps loving the show. We'll get to see even more in season 2.
Yes, I mean, we're excited about it. We're excited for the next episode. Thank you guys so much again for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure. You guys are amazing. The show is so amazing itself.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. And just right before we go, where can they catch you on social media?
Yes.
Okay, you can catch me on Instagram, Christian_Lees, and Twitter, Christian Lees with 3 E's.
On Instagram, I am Jonah Lees, and Twitter, I'm Jonah Rules.
And Tamra, where can
and
they find you?
as always, I'm Tamra Brown. You can just Google me.
And guys, I'm Allie Nasta. You can find me on Twitter @AllieNasta and on Instagram @EllieGirl. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. See ya.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.